Hello and good evening. The army has disclosed that 250 to 300 terrorists are waiting close to the line of control at terror launchpads in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir to infiltrate into Jammu and Kashmir. We'll get to the details on that tonight in Newsnight. I'm Gautam Roy. We'll also be talking to our guests about the PM's prescription on fighting COVID-19 in the country, where he stressed on real-time monitoring and focusing on areas with high positivity rate, apart from personal hygiene and social discipline in public areas. But first, our headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi reviews the COVID-19 situation in the country and preparedness in states at a high-level meeting. Stresses on reiterating the importance of personal hygiene and social discipline in public places. Emulation of Dhanvantri Rath in Gujarat for surveillance and home-based care has been directed. Real-time monitoring based on Delhi model also cited for COVID control. The fight against COVID-19 intensifies across the country. Recovery rate near 63% with over 5.15 lakh people discharged. Drugs Controller General of India clears Altamab injection for emergency use among COVID-19 patients. WHO recognizes Mumbai's Dharavi model for the fight against a deadly virus. Reimposition of lockdown announced in several states in entirety or in certain most affected areas for the next few days. Meghalaya government announces complete lockdown for Monday and Tuesday in Shillong. Lockdown extended in Itanagar till the 20th of this month. Another extension in Guwahati and Kamrup district till the 11th of July in Assam. All of Uttar Pradesh under lockdown till Monday morning. Terrorists lurk across the border looking for an opportunity to infiltrate into India. The army says 250 to 300 terrorists are looking to sneak into the country from Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, terror launch pads close to the LOC. The army guns down 2 terrorists near the LOC in Kupwara's Nogam sector. Large quantities of arms and ammo recovered. Big success in the fight against terrorism in the northeast. 6 NSCM-IM terrorists neutralized in a gunfight with security forces in Arunachal Pradesh. 1 soldier of Assam Rifles also injured in the operation. 4 AK assault rifles, 2 MQ-81 rifles, 1 hand grenade, 2 IEDs recovered from the site of the encounter. RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das reassures that the Indian economy has started showing signs of returning to normalcy in response to the staggered easing of lockdown restrictions. Stresses that the need to restore confidence, preserve financial stability, revive growth and recover stronger. India's 2018 Tiger Census creates a Guinness World Book of Records for being the world's largest camera trapping wildlife survey. Camera traps placed in more than 26,000 locations capture a record 35 million photographs. Union Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar terms it a great moment and a shining example of Atmanirbhar Bharat. And the flood situation in many parts of the country has been worsening. Many rivers have been flowing above the danger level in Bihar. Rivers in Assam are also in spate after 4 days of continuous rains. NDRF teams have been deployed in many locations. The Met Office forecasts further rainfall in many states. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired a high-level meeting today to review the COVID-19 situation in the country and to also get an overview of how different states and union territories are battling the pandemic. The PM emphasized further on reiterating the need for observing personal hygiene and social distancing, spreading awareness about the ways to curb the infection from transmitting further and replicating best practices from places like Delhi, Gujarat, even Mumbai have been underlined.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been taking all measures to ensure that the nation emerges out of the COVID-19 pandemic. Saturday saw him chairing a high-level meeting to review the COVID-19 situation in the country and get an overview of the measures being taken by different states to contain the spread of the deadly virus. The Prime Minister directed that all must reiterate the need to observe personal hygiene and social discipline in public places. He added that awareness about COVID-19 should be disseminated widely and continuous emphasis on preventing the spread of the infection should be laid. He stressed that there is no room for complacency in this regard.
सरकार हो या समाज, संवेदना और सतर्कता इस मुश्किल चुनौती से निपटने के लिए हमारे सबसे बड़े प्रेरणा स्रोत है। आज जब आप मध्य प्रदेश को, पूरे देश को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए, रोजी रोटी भी कमाने के लिए घर से बाहर निकल रहे हैं, निकलना पड़ रहा है, तो अपनी एक और जिम्मेदारी भी हमेशा याद रखिए, और वो है, और मैं चाहूंगा कि जो बात मैं बताता हूं ये बाकी लोग भी बार बार बताते रहें, जहां भी है बताते रहें। 2 गज की दूरी, चेहरे पर मास्क, हाथ को 20 सेकंड तक साबुन से धुलना, कहीं पर भी थूकना नहीं, ये सारे नियमों का हमें हमेशा पालन करना है।
The Prime Minister also directed that real-time, national-level monitoring and guidance should be provided to all affected states and places with high test positivity rate. He appreciated the concerted efforts of the centre, state and local authorities in containing the pandemic situation in Delhi. Prime Minister further directed that similar approach should be adopted with other state governments in containing the COVID-19 pandemic in the entire NCR region. The successful example of surveillance and home-based care through Dhanvantri Rath in Ahmedabad was highlighted in the meeting. The Prime Minister directed that it may be emulated in other places. With inputs from Sudhakar Das, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
Now, the centre and states are working together in battling the COVID outbreak hard and to curb the spread of the virus. While guidelines remain in place for allowing economic and other activities in different parts of the country to pick up, lockdowns and other stricter measures are also being imposed in different parts of the country if the situation merits that sort of a response. Uttar Pradesh is going into lockdown from Saturday night till Monday morning. Bihar has also imposed a lockdown in 16 districts for varying periods of time. Karnataka has also announced a lockdown in Bengaluru from the 14th till the 22nd of July. The World Health Organization has recognized Mumbai's efforts in curbing the pandemic as well. Here's more.
The efforts by the centre on containing COVID-19 pandemic is finally bearing fruit, and strategy in coordination with the states is having a positive impact. The recovery rate from the pandemic is on the rise across the country, and there is a reduction in the fatality rate as well. The states are also taking tough steps in containing the situation. In Uttar Pradesh, lockdown has been declared from 10 p.m. on 10th July to 5 a.m. on 13th July. During this period, police has done barricading and blocked access to key roads. The police is checking the vehicles in the cities to ensure that people are adhering to the lockdown and identity cards are being scrutinized. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath inaugurated new divisional level laboratories with an aim to contain the spread of coronavirus pandemic and ensuring timely treatment. He said that every district will have testing lab and this will give a boost to testing of corona infection.
38,000 टेस्ट प्रतिदिन करने की क्षमता उत्तर प्रदेश ने भारत सरकार के सहयोग से आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के मार्गदर्शन में आज क्षमता विकसित की है। मेडिकल स्क्रीनिंग की व्यापक व्यवस्था, रैपिड टेस्ट के माध्यम से प्रत्येक सस्पेक्टेड केस की जांच करना और फिर कोविड हॉस्पिटल में उनकी व्यवस्था की गई है, तो काफी हद तक मृत्यु दर को नियंत्रित करने में हमें सफलता प्राप्त हो सकती है।
Lockdown has been enforced in 16 districts in Bihar to contain the spread of the corona pandemic. Lockdown has been ordered in Khagaria till 14th of this month. Lockdown will also be in place till 16th July in Patna, Munger, Madhepura, Kaimur and Purnia districts. A 6-day lockdown has been ordered in Begusarai, Nalanda and Vaishali districts. A control room has been set up by Patna District Administration to ensure that people don't face any problems.
वर्तमान में जो एक्टिव केस हैं 38 जिले में उनकी संख्या है 3,929 और पिछले 24 घंटे में प्राप्त सूचना अनुसार हम लोगों ने पूरे बिहार राज्य में 9,108 जांच हुआ है.
Meanwhile, the World Health Organization has acknowledged Mumbai's efforts to contain the outbreak of COVID-19 in Dharavi, Asia's largest slum. World Health Organization recognized many countries and potential hotspot regions like Vietnam, South Korea and Dharavi in Mumbai for using different methods like testing, contact tracing, isolation and timely treatment of the infected to break the chain of transmission. Dharavi was a hotspot in June but has seen a sharp drop in cases in July. WHO chief has said Italy, Spain, South Korea and Dharavi have showed the virus could be reined in through aggressive action. The nationwide effort continues to contain the spread of corona pandemic. Government is also paying special attention to ensuring availability of essential services as well as other facilities. With Bureau Inputs, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
Now let's get you what sort of a broad picture, large picture are we getting in terms of how the situation really is in the country at this moment as far as the COVID-19 pandemic is concerned. If you look at the data that we put together, what's happened in the last 24 hours as far as the entire country is concerned? Well, 27,114 new cases have been there in the entire country. 519 fatalities have also taken place. People have been dying. 19,870 recovered cases are also there. So people have been recovering as well, which is why we're talking about the recovery rate being very significant. Now, if you look at the next data point, just look at how the overall cases are working out. The total cases so far, 8,20,916. Total deaths are 22,123. The recovery is there, 5,15,386. Active cases, 2,83,407. This is what, the one in the red is what really matters apart from the recovered cases. There are 18 states and union territories where the recovery rate is higher than the national average. So that's how things stand as far as the overall picture is concerned. Now, if you look further, what is happening is there are several states that have the recovery rate higher than the national average of 63%. Ladakh is right on top with 86.73%. Uttarakhand is 80.85%. If you look further on, Delhi has really come up the charts at number 3 now, 79.05% there. Chhattisgarh at 78.99%. And if you look even further, there is Chandigarh, another union territory, 77.06%, and Rajasthan at 75.34%. Haryana is also pretty close, another area where a lot of the NCR comes in, 74.91%. So that's how things are proceeding. Even Madhya Pradesh, where initially things were bad in cities like Indore, 74.85%. Further on, if you look at other data sets that we're getting across from the country, look at what is happening as far as the top 5 most affected states are concerned. Well, Maharashtra has 2,38,461 cases overall. In Tamil Nadu, there have been 1,30,261 cases. If you look further, in terms of what sort of data are we getting, 1,10,921 cases. And Delhi, the numbers have been climbing. There has been a climbing number that has come across even today, but it is less than 2,000. In Gujarat, it's 40,069. And further on, Uttar Pradesh is 33,700. That's the data as far as the total top 5 most affected states are concerned. Now, average death rate is 2.63%. This is for the entire country. The number of people dying really, that's pretty low. 2.63% is one of the lowest in the world. 30 states and union territories with death rate lower than the national average. That is again a big, huge takeaway really as far as different parts of the country are concerned. If you look at which of these top states really figure and how low the death rate is, in Assam it's just 0.16%. That is at the number 1 spot. In Kerala, it's 0.41%. That is a death rate, much lower than the national average, which is quite low in itself. Chhattisgarh, 0.41%. If you look further, then Odisha, 0.46%. So very little difference really. Jharkhand, 0.71% is the death rate there. In the eastern state, Bihar close by, 0.82%, both geographically and in the numbers. Telangana, 1.07%. So now we're getting into the 1% wala area. Andhra Pradesh is 1.16% there. Further on, Tamil Nadu is 1.39%. So these southern states, the southern belt is coming in. Haryana, now we're back on top, 1.48% there. You can see Karnataka, 1.56%. So there's no consistency as far as the death rate is concerned. Rajasthan, 2.18%. And if you look again, Punjab is 2.56%. So all these are still lower than the national average. Like we mentioned, 2.66% in Uttar Pradesh. That's how things have been so far. And this is the major data points that we can see in the country. And now we get to our in focus tonight, which is the COVID fight. Discipline and vigilance are the most potent remedies. And if we look at who the guests are tonight, we've got, in fact, let's just look at the in focus once again. The COVID-19 fight, discipline and vigilance, potent remedies. And let's bring in our guests tonight. We have Dr. S.K. Sareen, Director, Institute of Liver and Biliary Sciences, and V.K. Paul. Dr. V.K. Paul is also joining us. He's, of course, in that all-important committee that is looking at how the COVID-19 fight is going on. Dr. Paul, if I could ask you, there are big takeaways from what has been emerging, and especially from the Prime Minister's meeting today, where he stressed on the key remedies that are there, really needed in the country. One is, of course, focusing on the positivity rate. The other is, of course, really drilling that message in about both social distancing and the hygiene factors. Now, how do these two and how can they work together to ensure that we quickly curb this pandemic?
Well, the two mantras that the Prime Minister enunciated are discipline and vigilance. Discipline relates to the practices that we as individuals, as families, as communities exhibit. And those behaviors are the ones that will help the spread of a virus from one to the other, and therefore, putting a brake on the outbreak of this terrible virus. But the vigilance aspect relates to how the disease has to be contained systematically by using the epidemiological approaches of surveillance, containment, and effective control of the spread of virus using strategies such as tracing the positive cases, tracking the contacts, isolating them and quarantining them. And at the same time, vigilance is also required for us to be prepared to look after patients who come to hospitals in a severe state of COVID disease, where the health system has to efficiently ensure that the mortality rates are the lowest and the recovery rates are the highest possible. So the two mantras truly encompass the overall strategy that we should follow to address this pandemic, which is still raging in our country. But as you have very rightly indicated using the various data, that things are stable, recovery rates are rising, the country has kept the mortality rate low, and the disease is localized in cities of a finite number and a finite number of states.
Right. Now, Dr. Sareen, if you look at places like Delhi, and again you look at say, Dharavi in Mumbai, which has been recognized by the WHO today as well, incidentally, in terms of the kind of response there's been, where at one time Dharavi had become like a source of alarm in the country, and now a positive story is emerging. They've got a real grip on the COVID-19 situation there in Asia's biggest slum. Now, in terms of best practices, what sort of a takeaways can there be for replication? Even if you look at the Dhanvantri Rath in Gujarat, what can really be scaled up and taken throughout the country here?
See, there are two parts, and Dr. Paul very rightly said, discipline and vigilance. And discipline can be at all levels. That includes the individual, most importantly, and then the family, and then the society. I must stress here that you remember the days when there were a rise in the cases, not only the patients, but the police people. Those who were just talking to them, they got infected. So many police people, so many healthcare workers. And the reasons were that this virus not only goes by droplets. Droplets means after a meter or two, the drop will fall down and the virus generally would not transmit. But slowly there is evidence coming, although there can be debate, that it is aerosol, that it can be also by the air. So social distancing or keeping away from each other is only possible and helpful when there is a droplet transmission. But to prevent aerosol, you must wear a mask. And India was the first country, the Prime Minister, the Chief Ministers, everyone agreed upon, and the public agreed. So I think today, the most important message I would give is self-discipline means wear a mask. And if you are a healthcare worker or you are going to a place where there is a high contamination possible because of high viral load, many people are there, do wear an N95 mask. I think if we can do that, and that is probably the strategy which helped Delhi at least. You know, everyone was wearing masks, and when the center and the state joined hands, and very strongly, there was a time when Delhi was close to 4,000 and we were apprehensive it may go further up.
Yes.
But now, as you can see, the numbers, fortunately, at least for the time being, have come down. And the reason I think is Delhiites have done very well as far as wearing masks in all public places. Do not break this when you are eating, when you are using a telephone, or when you are going and meeting friends. So please remember that. That's one part, and that is self-discipline. Now comes the discipline which needs to be followed in workplaces, which needs to be followed in hospitals. I think all that area has to be, don't eat together. Now coming to what Prime Minister has rightly said today, is that the areas which are highly risky, where there is a still fear, it is better to have containment zones. There, I think contact tracing and the work has to be very aggressively done. India is still on the rise, at least as a country, and it is not, very comfortable for any one of us. So every citizen in India has to understand that, and yes, deaths have to be prevented. All efforts, oximeters, going to the hospitals early enough, and recognizing that lung is very, very fragile. Right. For example, people are collected, and they are in a place where one is infected. You can see the reproduction number can go up to 10 or 20. So don't collect together. These are my simple thoughts. Of course, policy decisions are being taken. New drugs are being made available every day. Plasma therapy has come in a big way. Whether it finally saves lives or not, we do not know, but at least it is available.
Yes.
So plasma banks, plasma therapies in Delhi, and in fact now in many parts, many states now, they are trying to experiment with this therapy.
Okay. Dr. V.K. Paul, the other aspect, of course, has been while there are great takeaways that can be looked at for replication, and that's what the PM is saying, we still have areas where cases have been spiking to new highs. We've seen that happen in places as varied as Meghalaya and Andhra Pradesh today. In Shillong, there's going to be a 2-day lockdown as well. Is that something that one really needs to be worried about? Because what we're not getting is that in a vast country like ours, a uniformity in terms of a uniform decline in the cases.
Well, this is certainly a cause for concern because at this point in time, we have learned relatively a lot to how to be able to control the pandemic, both as personal behaviors, but also how to be vigilant and how to contain the disease using surveillance as a very big strategy. And therefore, if we falter on this and we have a situation where some parts of the country go out of, have a spike of cases, for example, in Hyderabad or Andhra in general, as also in the state in Northeast. We have to be very careful that the situation does not go out of hand. We know how this is to be controlled. We have our teams that have been working very hard. And it is important that the preparedness levels are such that these surprises are minimal. But having said that, we must also remember that the pandemic in our country, in some parts of this big nation, is still in a relatively early stage.
Okay.
And there will be a journey that these states have to walk through. What you see in states like Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, and Delhi, and what you saw in Rajasthan to some extent, and Madhya Pradesh, was the early phase. And here the pandemic has moved on with more intensity. But when new areas get involved in the outbreak, then best avoided and control to a very limited extent possible, maximum possible extent to which it can be limited. At the same time, be very pragmatic that these surprises can happen in spite of best efforts. And then we must mount a response to bring the situation under control by using both the two critical strategies: suppress the transmission chain of the virus and make sure that the mortality, the ultimate adverse outcome of the pandemic, is minimum, and we keep the mortality below 1%. Clear.
And Dr. Sareen, these lockdowns that are being reimposed in certain parts of the country, Uttar Pradesh going in for a complete lockdown starting Saturday night on until Monday morning. This is the ultimate weapon really against COVID-19 till we have a vaccine in place. Whenever we see a situation getting out of hand, that remains the best remedy. There's nothing else that can really be done.
Well, lockdown in my mind is like, somebody is on a crash diet. And the moment the crash diet is over, you go back to overeating. Lockdown is a temporary measure. It's not. It's actually an attempt for a behavioral change. If that is the way you look at a lockdown, then it is very useful. If you only think, look, 5 days or 7 days and then I'll be free, then there will be no virus. This is not going to happen. This is not possible. So the concept of lockdown, what Indians many a times have taken into a wrong thinking, is that, look, 2 weeks lockdown, 2 weeks lockdown. So after 6 weeks, there will be no virus. You'll be free to go. That's probably not correct. And that's the way I still feel lockdown should be considered to give you 3 messages. First, learn to be disciplined and your society. To, after the lockdown is over, behave the way as if there is a virtual lockdown. 3, the way the lockdown gives time to the administration, to the authorities which are gearing up for a surge. Actually, it allows them to collect resources, make teams, go and do house-to-house survey, and also to learn that there is a population which is going from an early phase to a moderate surge phase. So I think lockdown has many advantages, but only disadvantage is that people think when the lockdown is over, everything will be over. And that's the way I think we have to make a thinking change. One more disadvantage of lockdown is that people try to do things, think everything is being done by government. They feel that government is responsible, we are not responsible. So they always blame the government, which is not correct. I think it's a participation in lockdown where success can happen. And I think UP, Delhi and many other states have learned it slowly over time. So I don't think it's the final solution. Yes, it is one of the methods where lockdown means now you are not in touch, You have a containment area, you have red zones or whatever you can call. You search them, you restrict the people, find out the contacts.
Yes.
And now with the zero surveillance available, I think there will be probably 1 in 4, 5 or 6 Delhiites or in the country where there was high virus prevalence. I think there will be population which would have been exposed by now. So I think gradually the immunity levels will go up, and our reproduction number means the virus possibly involving and infecting others will gradually go down, and I think those areas will settle down. Having said that, there will be several parts in a given city also, which will be earlier not exposed, can get exposed.
Right.
Also, there are fears that one person may get reinfected because the virus can change shape, it can mutate. So I think our vigilance has to be continued till a vaccine, which may take months, is available for us. All these steps, not one can be forgotten. All of them have to be practiced every time, not only by individuals, but families, societies, RWAs, and of course, the policymakers.
Right. Now, Dr. Serene, clearly you have pointed at one big aspect, which is the development of vaccine, and India is at the forefront of that effort as well. And Dr. V.K. Paul would perhaps be the best person to give us an update on that. Are we on course really, Dr. Paul, in terms of the target of getting the vaccine perhaps, and that would be a dream come true, within this year?
Well, India is in the forefront of the vaccine journey. In many ways, we are leading this whole process, and there are more than one candidate vaccine indigenous that are moving through different phases of clinical development. Some of them have completed the animal studies and have clearly moved into a phase of human studies to be done. Yes, we can and should hope that an Indian vaccine would be available in near future. But also remember that India, being the pharmacy of the world, has a huge setup of pharmaceutical companies that are well versed for producing the vaccines. 2 out of 3 vaccines that are used in immunization programs in the world are produced in India. So it is also very plausible, very likely, almost certain, I would say, that any vaccine invented by anybody outside India will also be largely produced within the country.
Right.
And will also perhaps go through clinical trials in our own nation. So if whether it is Oxford vaccine or any other new vaccine that comes up elsewhere, again, those companies, those science groups would look upon India to take the development forward, but even more importantly, to build manufacturing base in a big way, to build a huge stockpile of vaccines, not just for our own country, but for the world.
Right. And as far as, this is about the vaccine, but if you talk about treatment, even today, what we've seen is that the Drugs Controller General of India has given the green light to a new breakthrough drug. The company that has come out with it has described it as that. It's spelled as itolizumab, but it's pronounced, I guess, as Alzumab. Dr. Serene, what can you tell us about this? Because this is something also that people would really want to know about, because right now, of course, people do see other people getting infected around them, and they want to know what all drugs can they take.
Well, itolizumab, as it is called, has been a drug which has been in India for almost like 15 years or so, and the drug has been used extensively. It is like additional usage of a drug which has been approved, which has been used for immunological conditions like psoriasis and others. And I have, because some of these patients were done at the Maulana Azad Medical College, where I have been indirectly involved, and I know that a couple of patients where it was used, the drug was very effective.
Right, it's for psoriasis for dental treatment.
Sorry?
It's for psoriasis, normally used for psoriasis, dental treatment?
It's one of the conditions where it had been used in the past, and it had been used in Cuba, where I had read some of the publications that where it has been used for SARS-CoV-2, I think about 100 odd patients, where it was found to be quite effective. So the basic premise of using such drugs like are inhibiting the cytokine response like interleukin-1 or interleukins, other drugs like they suppress interleukin-6. So when the body has the virus, it tries to eliminate, but sometimes body overreacts. It doesn't know how to get rid of the virus, so it uses all its energy, all its secretions, and sometimes these secretions are so high that they can cause organs to be malfunctioning or the organs fail. So at a given time, drugs like this can work, and I think the DCGI must have had some very reassuring data for this repurposed drug, and I think it adds to our armamentarium. Other countries would not have this so rapidly as India would have, and if it works well, which I am sure it should, it can be exported. So while we were importing several drugs from overseas, like hydroxychloroquine, we were able to export. I think atolizumab and with the Biocon and Kiran Shah Majumdar being in the lead in that, I think India has a production capability and wider, platform of drugs available for physicians in India to use. I think it's a huge opportunity. India has also done very well, the DCGI and the policy makers, to allow drugs like remdesivir to be made in India. Very expensive, but now 4 or 5 Indian companies can make it very rapidly and fill the vacuum in that.
Yes.
So I think India has geared up much better than other countries in the availability of drugs. Similarly, for example, the plasma is being made available in plenty now, so there is no doubt. India is also likely to get up with the immunoglobulins, specific high concentrated proteins against the virus. So all these are required for treating the virus and the illness.
I think it's very important to know and understand that there might not be a vaccine, and despite that, if you get infected, there are ways and means where you can be treated and you can recover. That's what our steadily rising recovery rate is showing, and ultimately, since the death rate is just around 3%, it will rise further well into the 90s as days go by. And till then, perhaps the vaccine will also materialize, and that's the kind of positivity that one has to go by, while being, as the PM said, vigilant and maintaining the best kind of discipline and hygiene that you can. That is the best remedy really for this pandemic. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Serene and Dr. V.K. Paul.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to news from the sensational Thiruvananthapuram gold smuggling case. One of the main accused, Swapna Suresh and Sandeep Nair, have been arrested by the NIA in Bengaluru. They will be taken to Kerala by the police. Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan had on Saturday said an inquiry will be held into the complaint on the alleged fake degree certificate submitted by Swapna Suresh for securing appointment in a government project under the state IT department. For more information on this, we're joined by our correspondent Aisha Khanam from Bengaluru. Aisha, what more can you tell us about this sensational arrest? These accused were really sought after. How did they come into the NIA's custody? Well, let me try and reconnect with Aisha and remind you what has happened in terms of this sensational gold smuggling racket. The background, of course, being that 30 kgs of gold was found in a diplomatic bag. That was the route being used for smuggling. The NIA, the National Investigation Agency, is looking into the matter because there's a strong suspicion that there is some terrorist and terror funding link to this entire gold smuggling racket, and 2 of the main accused have now been arrested by the NIA sleuths. Aisha Khanam is with us on the phone line. Aisha, what more can you tell us about this particular breakthrough in the case?
Well, it is a big breakthrough for NIA because Swapna Suresh is being seen as the main person who was behind this modus operandi, and therefore the NIA considers this as a big a turn of events, because NIA was on lookout for Swapna Suresh and Suresh Nair, the two who were arrested from Bangalore. And we spoke to Bangalore police just a while ago. The Bangalore police says that the NIA team from Kochi was operating this entire case, and they have arrested them from different places. Swapna Suresh was arrested from a hotel, and Suresh Nair was arrested from another place where he was staying with his relatives. So the police says that the NIA team acted on its own, and there is no intervention or no help sought from Bangalore police as such, but the police were informed in Karnataka. So Gautam, this is a big breakthrough in this entire case, because the NIA has booked the case under Unlawful Activities of Prevention Act under Section 16,
Yes.
which they have been charged, in under Section 17, funding terror activity, and Section 18, conspiracy for terror activity, and also under Section 16 for Terror Act. So these are the big charges that are on these people. And there is one more accused in this case, Fazil, who is allegedly involved in sending this entire gold parcel from UAE. So
Okay.
police is on lookout for Fazil, and now these two will be produced in Kochi tomorrow. Now it is still not clear if the NIA team will travel overnight and reach Kochi early morning, or will they leave Bangalore early morning, because there is curfew in Bangalore from 8 p.m.
That's right.
onwards, because there is Sunday lockdown in Bangalore. So still it is not clear if the team will travel overnight with special
Okay.
permissions from MHA. Or from
I'm sure you
Karnataka
let us
police.
know when
And
you
then-
get a clearer picture on that, Aisha. Thanks a lot for joining
Absolutely.
us for the moment.
Thanks.
Well, the Indian Army has now foiled an infiltration attempt by terrorists in North Kashmir. Major General Virendra Vats, GOC 19 Infantry Division in Baramulla, has said that the anti-infiltration grid along the LOC is fully operational, and alert troops are ready to foil any attempt of terrorists to cross over. The troops posted along the LOC in Naugam sector in Kupwara detected suspicious movement originating from Pakistani post in that area. An appropriate response by the Indian troops led to the killing of 2 terrorists who were trying to infiltrate. 2 AK assault rifles with 12 filled magazines, a pistol, some grenades were also recovered from the killed terrorists.
Appropriate response by troops on ground was taken to eliminate the 2 terrorists who were trying to infiltrate into our area by cutting the anti-infiltration fence. The heavily armed terrorists, dressed in combat fatigues, had taken the route through Pakistani posts in the area opposite, which clearly indicates Pakistan complicity in abetment to fomenting terror in India.
And Major General Vats further said that the launch pads in Pakistan occupied Kashmir are fully occupied with about 300 terrorists who are trying hard to infiltrate into this side of the line of control in North Kashmir. He said search operation has been underway to sanitize the area along the LOC where the encounter took place.
The launch pads are fully occupied, and if we have to hazard a guess, it could be anything between 250 to 300 terrorists presently occupying the launch pads opposite.
And to talk about this further, we have Alok Bansal with us, noted strategic expert and also Director, India Foundation. Alok Bansal, what do you make of the army? It's been eliminating terrorists one by one, and yet you have the army itself saying 300 terrorists at terror launch pads in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir trying to breach the LOC and come into North Kashmir. The army clearly sending out a message that we're aware of the situation and will respond, and you will not be successful.
See, Gautam, you need to understand that our army has been eliminating terrorists for last 1 year very, very successfully. Ever since the Jammu and Kashmir and its status was changed and it was converted into 2 union territories, the army has been given a free hand, and the security agencies have successfully eliminated most of the terrorists. But at the same time, there is immense pressure in Pakistan because they realize that if normalcy returns to Jammu and Kashmir, this cause will be lost forever. So ISI is trying to pressurize, push more and more people. As people in Jammu and Kashmir are getting disillusioned with ISI and Pakistani sponsors, and there are hardly any recruits that are actually joining the terrorist ranks now, there is increased pressure in Pakistan, and ISI is trying to push more and more people. And since they realize that if they can't do anything for a few more months, the passes would be closed and Pakistan would not be able to do something, and the complete normalcy will return to Jammu and Kashmir, and this would be a lost cause. There is a desperation as far as ISI is concerned. The second reason why there has been a stepped up attempts at infiltration also needs to be understood, that Pakistani media has been hyping up the differences between India and China on the Ladakh front.
Right.
And Pakistan probably sees an opportunity, a window of opportunity for itself. If Indian Army's attention is diverted towards China border, they feel that they have a chance. And that is why ISI, I think, has put in all their efforts to get these recruits. And according to inputs, there are about 250 to 300 infiltrators waiting to infiltrate into Jammu and Kashmir. Also, these two terrorists who were eliminated were heavily armed and were carrying a lot of arms and ammunition. And they infiltrated from a point which is very close to Pakistan's security post. Now, to infiltrate from that sort of a location is only feasible when the security forces are assisting you.
Certainly, and they've been conducting regular ceasefire violations as well.
Yeah.
They've been committing ceasefire violations as well, which goes with your line of thought.
Undoubtedly, and that's what I'm trying to say, that they have been trying to push people, and that's why ceasefire violations are taking place, because there is a sense of desperation. They realize that now with this reorganization, Jammu and Kashmir is going to normalize very soon. And if the normalcy returned, I think the political process will move forward from here, because now the security situation is more or less stable. So once that stabilizes, I think we will have delimitation of the constituencies, and then the political process will start. You could have probably elections to the assembly, and then once the election process starts, then you will have complete political normalcy returning to this particular part. And I think that unnerves Pakistan, because I think Pakistan, and especially ISI and its army, feels that their entire cause would be lost once Kashmir is actually peaceful.
Well, that is perhaps the matrix of response that should be followed to restore as much normalcy, and through the regular political process as well. Why we fight terrorism through our security forces as well, which they've been doing successfully over especially the recent period. If you look back, a very high elimination rate through 2018-19 and now 2020 as well. I'm afraid we're out of time, otherwise we could have talked a little bit more about it, flushed it out a little bit more. Alok Bansal, but thank you so much for joining us this evening. Okay, now what has also happened is that in terms of getting more updates from across the country, we have the tiger situation, really remarkable, really, because India's 2018 tiger count is now figured in the Guinness Book of World Records for being the largest camera trap survey conducted. Now, according to the survey, the tiger population has increased by almost 6% each year during 2006 and 2018. Union Environment, Forest and Climate Change Minister Prakash Javadekar has said that the nation has fulfilled its resolve to double its tigers' numbers 4 years prior to the target year.
The tiger, the majestic cat, the pride of India, the unannounced king of Indian jungles which used to roam around the wilderness of India's jungles, inspiring countless stories, folklore, awe and admiration. Man's careless, wanton actions almost put it on the brink of extinction. But India's caravan with tigers has survived yet another sharp turn and now continues to trudge along, thanks to collective efforts in saving the big cat. After doubling up their numbers in just 12 years, India has added another feather in the campaign to save the tigers. India's tiger estimation for the year 2018 has entered the record books, as it was awarded the Guinness World Record on Saturday for being the largest camera trap wildlife survey. Sharing the news on microblogging site Twitter, Union Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar said that India was able to double the number of tigers in the country 4 years before the target.
We could complete the target 4 years before the target. Because yes, we have good ecology, there are good forests, there is good prey base, there is enough water and fodder, and now we are further augmenting water and fodder in many jungle areas through the Campa funds.
Tigers are a keystone species at the top of the ecological pyramid, and their survival is pivotal to the well-being of several animals, including humans. From 2006 to 2018, an annual growth rate of 6% in tiger population has been observed. Since 2006, 3 cycles have been completed in 2006, 2010, 2014 and 2018, which have shown a steady rise in tiger numbers. Camera traps were placed in 26,838 locations across 141 different sites and surveyed an effective area of 1,21,337 square kilometers. In total, the camera traps captured 3,48,58,623 photographs of wildlife, 76,651 of which were tigers and 51,777 were leopards. The remainder were other native fauna. From these photographs, 2,461 individual tigers, excluding cubs, were identified using stripe pattern recognition software.
We have laid the largest camera traps. No country has done so much exhaustive survey and counting and camera traps used for this purpose.
Apart from the unprecedented camera trap usage, the 2018 Status of Tigers in India assessment also conducted extensive foot surveys that covered survey of 3,81,200 square kilometers of forested habitat, effective camera trapped area of 1,21,337 square kilometers, foot survey of 5,22,996 kilometers, deployment of camera traps at 26,838 locations, human investment totaling 5,93,882 man-days, generation of 3,48,95,267 camera trap images of wildlife. Out of these images, 76,651 images were those of tigers. The assessment was carried out over 3 phases, with the various data sets then combined to be extrapolated via statistical computation, which informed the final results published in the survey report.
The award has given a strong message to the world, showcasing India's commitment and leadership to tiger conservation. It is also a textbook example of Atmanirbharta through Sankalp Se Siddhi. With inputs from Preeti, this is Tapush Bhattacharya, DD India, Delhi.
Now, the flood situation in many parts of the country has been alarming. Many rivers have been flowing above the danger level in Bihar. Rivers in Assam as well are in spate after 4 days of continuous rains. NDRF teams have been deployed in many locations in the country, and the Met Office has forecast further rainfall in several states as well.
Monsoon rains has led to rise in water levels in many rivers, and subsequently flood-like situation has been created in different parts of the country. In Bihar, many rivers are in spate owing to incessant rains in the catchment areas. After over 2 lakh cusecs of water was released from the Kosi barrage, the water level has risen significantly, causing flood-like situation in the region. Administration is prepared to deal with the situation. 61 shelter homes and 118 other locations have been identified for relief work.
बाढ़ को लेके तो हम लोग अभी पूरी मुकम्मल व्यवस्था किए हुए हैं। सारे नाव की तैयारी हो चुकी है, बाढ़ आपदा राहत केंद्र का भी तैयारी हो चुकी है। अभी बाढ़ की स्थिति तो अभी सामान्य है और जून में काफ़ी वर्षा हुई थी अभी लेकिन अभी स्थिति सामान्य है, जो डिस्चार्ज भी थोड़ा सा कम हुआ है। मेरा बस से जिला वासियों से अनुरोध रहेगा कि अपने स्तर से भी थोड़ा सा सतर्क रहें। तो सारी व्यवस्था की हुई है, बाढ़ की किसी भी स्थिति में हम लोग निपटने के लिए तैयार हैं।
Flood-like conditions are looming large in Khagaria as well. High alert has been sounded in the district. Local administration has arranged for sufficient number of boats and identified shelter locations. Floods could affect around 120 villages with a population of over 1,22,000. SDRF is also on standby for relief and rescue work. Meanwhile, there is forecast for heavy rains in Bihar, Uttarakhand, North Punjab, eastern Uttar Pradesh for the next couple of days. Parts of Bihar, West Bengal and Jharkhand are likely to experience storm and lightning in the next 24 hours. Met Department has forecast heavy rains in northeastern states of Sikkim, Mizoram, Nagaland in the next 3 days. There was some relief from rains in Arunachal Pradesh on Saturday. However, rivers are in spate due to continuous rains in the past few days. Landslides have blocked roads at many places. The rising waters in Siang River can impact many districts of Assam. The Bang River is also flowing at the danger level. Rain-related damage has been reported in Itanagar. State government has constituted 5 regional response centers. SDRF and NDRF have been kept on high alert. Incessant rains since last 4 days in Assam has caused floods in some villages in Barpeta district. NDRF has evacuated 236 marooned villagers and transported them to safer locations. Besides, teams are also assisting district administration in distribution of masks, screening inundated areas, and maintain proper social distancing due to COVID-19 emergency. 9 search and rescue teams of NDRF are pre-positioned deployed in Assam. Bureau Report, DD India.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has given detailed answers to India's relations with many nations during an interactive video session at the India Global Week. Dr. Jaishankar spoke on India's role in shaping a better new world. And he said that existing political trends will accelerate in a post-COVID world. More nationalism, increasing trust deficit and stress on supply chains. Talking about India-US relations, he said that India and the US relationship took a time of 6 decades to find itself, but is now making up for the lost time. Dr. Jaishankar further said that he expects the relationship to become important even in the American calculus of the world. And now, in terms of what kind of news has been emerging, a lot of it, a note circulating in the media that a COVID-19 monitoring committee has been formed, has been identified as fake. The Union Ministry of Home Affairs has clarified that no such committee has been set up by the ministry. The MHA has urged people to be aware of this bid to spread fake news as well as rumors. Let's get you some top international news. Nations across the globe, including the US and Russia, have voiced regret and concern over Turkey's decision to convert Istanbul's iconic 6th century Hagia Sophia into a mosque. The UN has also said that its status as a museum reflects the universal nature of its heritage and makes it a powerful symbol for dialogue. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan declared Istanbul's Hagia Sophia a mosque on Friday, with the first Muslim prayers to begin in 2 weeks after a top court ruled the ancient building's conversion to a museum by modern Turkey's founding statesman being illegal. Before the decision, Greece has said that Turkey risked opening up a huge emotional chasm with Christian countries if it pressed ahead with a proposal to convert the Hagia Sophia Museum in Istanbul into a mosque. But despite that criticism, Turkish President Erdogan signed a decree allowing it to reopen for worship as a mosque. And with that, that's all we can pack in on Newsnight tonight. But for all the latest, you stay tuned to DD News and DD India. And above all, be safe.